The Gina and Maddie podcast.
Obviously, I'm not Maddie. Maddie is off sick today. At the moment, though, we're going to chat to parenting expert Jen Muir, a parent educator, author of Little People, Big Feelings, co-host of the podcast Beyond the Chaos, and on Instagram, Connected Parenting AU. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning, Jen. You know I'm always happy when we get to talk to you. Jen is one of my favourite, Maddie's too, favourite guests of the show. Welcome.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, welcome. So today, Jen, we're talking about modern parents drowning in overwhelm, or are they just kind of overthinking it?
Modern parents are definitely drowning in overwhelm. In fact, there's a lot of studies that have come out saying it's almost at crisis levels in terms of how overwhelmed modern parents are. And, you know, looking at sort of what's happening, it's almost like they're working harder than ever. They're actually parenting harder than ever. So there's so much information about the parent that you want to be. And I often say it's almost from that very first scan these days in 3D. Parents actually know more about their baby than we've known ever in the history of parenting. And it kind of continues from there. Like we all know within the first week, you're going to get different opinions. There's the internet. There's sort of all this advice. And it's a good thing. The information is good. But we've never had to parent with so much knowledge of the parent we want to be. But in addition, it's kind of 24-hour access to the news as well, right? So we kind of know about things, and often things that happen to children, like in wars or when awful things happen, we're sort of very aware of that, whereas once upon a time you only knew about what happened in your village. Yeah. So there's almost this sense of fear, like with one wrong move, I could muck it all up in my parenting, or my child could get hurt. And then we're working really hard, there's financial pressure. So we've got all of that going on. And then what we also are seeing is that parents are really lonely. You know, actually 85% of new mums are really, really lonely, excruciatingly lonely, and 60% of parents overall are feeling lonely, and this is worse in rural areas. And loneliness is one of those really tough emotions because we know long-term it not only affects our mental health, but loneliness is one of the worst things for our physical health that there is, in terms of it impacts our heart and our morbidity and mortality. So, yes, modern parents are dealing with a lot.
Did that loneliness start because when Jackie, my son, who you know is 22, when he was a baby, it was different. Even just that's not that long ago, but we didn't have Instagram and all those things weren't out, so you weren't feeling the pressure to be perfect. Had mothers groups, and it was a lot more. You just sort of stopped and didn't feel guilty. You know, I wasn't doing 2 or 3 jobs like parents are today. Yep. And I don't know, did COVID kind of changed everything too? We got so used to being not socialising. Lots of kids were born during COVID. And that kind of, is that where all the kind of loneliness started? Was that a thing that kind of kicked that off?
It does feel like a lot of our numbers, and kids' loneliness as well. So teens are really lonely, and it definitely feels like COVID was this sort of turning point. But I sort of think you can look at a society that for many, many years, almost leading into COVID, was becoming more individualised. So if you sort of think about in the past, we all, you know, went to the church group, or you all chipped in within the community and within your neighbourhoods, and now we're so much more on our own. And maybe with COVID we got so used to technology, and while technology can connect us, like I know as a young mum there were moments where, you know, tapping into Instagram and sending a meme to a friend saved me on a tough day, but at the same time it's not as meaningful as that face-to-face connection. So we really do need those real kind of face-to-face interactions, and they don't have to be deep and meaningful. Often it's just like chatting to your barista or your neighbour, you know, small things.
Is that how parents can get more connected in their community? You just take those little steps?
Look, the first thing is identifying, you know, the triggers. Like, you know, do I feel good after scrolling on Instagram and kind of not connecting with others?
No.
Where do I feel worse? Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
Or for me, you promise you're not going to doom scroll at night in bed and then wake up tired and you do it anyway. So it's sort of identifying your triggers and naming them, and sort of naming that you're lonely. There's almost a stigma. We feel a bit of shame in admitting we're lonely, and yet so many parents are feeling lonely. So sort of talking about it, and then it's about knowing that loneliness is solved. It's a triangle. So you kind of 3 things matter in terms of creating meaningful connections. One is proximity. So think about who you are connected with, who are you seeing on a daily basis, and that might be your barista. And then 2, it's about frequent shared experiences. So you might volunteer to help out at the bake stall for your preschool or your school. Or you might sort of bake some cookies for your neighbour who's just had a baby. Sort of looking at those meaningful sort of shared experiences, or join a sports team or a sports club, or, people are doing pub choirs, anything like that gives you that shared experience. And then it's about frequent interactions. So not... Again, it doesn't have to be a girls' weekend or like anything too grand. It's just send that text, set something up for next month in the diary so you've got something to look forward to, and kind of just keep chipping away at it.
That's great, Jen.
So ultimately, it's just down to connection and building that connection with the people in your village.
That's absolutely it, and it can be harder than ever when they're all working.
Yeah, I was about to say that on a personal note, because I'm child-free. How can I really get in? Because I don't really know the struggles that a lot of people go through. I've got nieces and nephews and things like that. But how can I, as a single person who has got a little bit of extra free time, invest that free time in those mums and dads who need that extra?
I reckon it's just sort of asking, number one, always sort of checking or asking, what would be useful, and maybe, bring them a coffee. Like if you do have if you've got a friend that's alone long days with a baby and you do have an hour, drop in with a coffee or say, hey, just thinking of you can be such a nice thing to say, or how's your baby going? Send me a photo. We can just do those small little things and just listen, because sometimes they'll say, I was up all night with the baby, and you can say, oh my gosh, that sounds so tough, I don't even know how I could. And just that connection of having someone. Loneliness is about feeling unseen. So if we can just see people and hear them, that's such a big thing.
Jen, you're the best. We love you so much.
Thank you, Jen.
Guys.
If you want to catch up with Jen, the podcast, she's the co-host of the podcast Beyond the Chaos.
Gina and Maddie.
Confessional time. I nearly got arrested yesterday. So what happened was I went shopping. I love Kmart. And as I'm walking towards Kmart, I'm like, do I need a trolley? No, I'm just picking up a couple of things. Don't need a trolley.
You always need a trolley at Kmart.
You always need a trolley. So I thought, no, I'll get one. I probably won't need it, but I'll get one. So I go in and because I'm decorating the house, as you know, any listeners of the show know, I'm decorating and we're finishing off renovating. So for the spare room, I needed a curtain rod, found this gorgeous gold curtain rod. I'm like, oh, that's going straight in my basket.
Luxe.
I got sheer curtains that I want for the spare room. I bought a few fake plants that look really cool, a candle and a basket and a pot. And I just wanted to just do bits and pieces around the house.
And you didn't get a trolley?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, I had to get a trolley.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't get one.
No, I wasn't going to. No, I know. I just have to, every time I go to Kmart, even if you're going in for a pair of underpants, get a trolley because you're going to buy more than you were thinking. So here I go with my trolley. I go to check out, do the whole self-checkout thing. I walk out and, you've got your receipt ready to show the lovely lady at the gate, when you walk out of Kmart. I just get out and he goes, beep, 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 beep. And I look back. And she goes, no, you're right, Gina, you're right. Have a good day.
I love how they know you by name at Kmart.
They know me by name. Well, they're listeners of the show too.
Okay,
but they know me by name because I do go there a lot. I went, and I turned around to go back in and go, maybe I didn't take some security thing or something. And I say to her, oh, my God, I didn't pay for the curtain rod. Because it was up high in the back of it was in the back of my trolley and I hadn't noticed it and I went, she goes, I was just going to let you through. I trusted you. And I went, I'm going back she said, I'm calling the radio station tomorrow. I said, please do. So I went back and I paid for my curtain rod and then I had the receipt and I left again. And she said, have a lovely day, Gina. And I said, you'll hear this story on the radio tomorrow. So then I get home yesterday and I'm just pottering around the house. I kid you not, there's a knock on the front door. We've only been at our house for 6 months, so not a lot of visitors yet. Like, not a lot of people even know where we are.
Yeah.
I get to the front door, it's the police.
What? Oh, no.
I'm not even kidding. So I realised they were sheriffs, they weren't police, but they're dressed exactly like police. I say, I invite them in because it's embarrassing.
Can I help you?
I said, come on in. And the policeman, Jackson is his name, and Emma, he goes, he sees the golden guitars and all that. And I'm really nervously talking about the golden guitars. And he goes, you went to country music? Yes, my husband's Rod McCormack. And he said, I know Adam Harvey. Rod won some golden guitars with Adam. And we're talking. And he said, you're Gina Jeffries from Star. And I went, yeah, nice to meet you. Anyway, why are you here? And I'm distracting Gina, oh, come and look at the kitchen. We painted it black. And I'm sorry, if it was less messy, I'd show you through the whole house. And they're going, oh, lovely reno. We're becoming friends and stuff. And I'm like, okay, why are you here? Well, Sheriff, they were looking for someone else. I invited them straight in.
They were looking for you.
Well, for me, I almost said to them, as soon as I saw their faces, I did it. Cuff me.
And Gina Jeffries, we nearly didn't have you.
You nearly didn't have me today. I would have had to call in from the jail.
Listen to Gina and Maddie weekday mornings from 5:30.
Live on the Star Player.